Cthulhu Jack. Revisiting classics from time to time gives one a little refresher to a forgotten place where it almost seems magical now. In reflection, with age, we have all met a Del Griffith or a Neil Page. Heck, we all make up portions of both. That's what makes this an unabashed, enduring film that, despite an original 3-hour version,
No! My pleasure.
we instead receive the perfect snowflake instead.
Gobble, gobble.
I'm talking about planes, trains, and automobiles from 1987. During this time, I remember traveling from Pittsburgh to Buffalo through a snowstorm on a bus much like this one,
Why don't you take a picture to last longer?
with an old pal to his families for Thanksgiving. Needless to say, it took much longer than the typical 4-hour stint.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones.
Director John Hughes' whole genius behind this was to write what you know. At least that's what they say. Bringing in his own experience taken from a diverted flight which landed him in Wichita, Kansas, leading him on a 5-day journey back to Chicago.
And I really don't care for the way your company left me in the middle of fucking nowhere with fucking keys to a fucking car that isn't fucking there.
There's much hidden beauty behind a Hughes film.
I smothered the poor soul. I caused him more trouble than he has a right to.
One observation that stands out is the use of not only the subsequent characters that interact with Del and Neil,
You'll never make the sin.
like Doobie the cab driver with the decked-out rig, who has a pompadour that could double as a hood ornament, to Owen and his wife.
Her first baby come out sideways. She didn't scream or nothing.
Those are the obvious, while not only inserting the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon for a giggle, with other background characters like the old man on the plane, later appearing in Seinfeld, or Gus.
Gus, I want you to meet an old friend of mine. This is Neil Page. Neil Gus Mooney.
Glad to meet you, Nick.
Nice to meet you.
Gus, I told my friend.
To every extra in the background, whether it be on the bus, which in itself is a Rockwellian homage to the American melting pot. These are the layers and textures I wonder if Hughes had in mind in his original 145-page script. You add in 2 comedy heavyweights with permission to also improvise.
Take the money. Buy your kids a chocolate turkey or something like that. I don't want the money, okay? That's for you. I got enough for my kids. Then leave it.
These scenes here with Owen is the perfect example where the director had the actor wipe his mouth in his hand, then go in for the handshake, delivering a perfect reaction from Martin after previous takes failed to do so. Hughes also had studio intervention, forcing him to cut it down to under 2 hours. So where certain scenes that, in most cases, would carry on with exposition or banter,
All about the banter. I hear that word all the time, banter.
lies in between many sweet and endearing reflective moments that are delivered with silence and a glance. Could or should more have been said? Myself personally, I prefer less is more. Overwrought dialogue, which later in films became the cliched thing to do, not everyone is good at it, and frankly it turns into white noise for me most of the time.
Anybody, a monkey could say that.
So when these pauses happen,
I don't have a home.
it in turn brings the audience closer to the character, creating a more personal moment,
Marie's been dead for 8 years.
with also removing what might as well in most cases be repetitive. Music melted with these shots of Martin were B-roll that Hughes and his editor dug up to recreate a new ending. Martin at the time had no idea he was even being photographed. This is one of the most beautiful parts when crafting a film, and something that I learned early on from being around sharp directors.
And by the way, you know, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
A director and their cinematographer have typically a tight relationship and their own language with one another. It's a way for them not to distract actors, able to capture the peripheral performance around the directed one.
Let me just close this conversation by saying you are one unique individual.
What is unique? Latin for asshole?
It doesn't work for every scene, but there are those lightning in a bottle tendencies you'll want to be aware of as a director, capturing the innocence in a flash.
God, I hope there isn't a next time.
I know what you mean. I really do.
This you?
Hits us square in the gut.
That's how Houdini died, you know.
The expression on Neil's face is us, the audience. Capped with a melancholy happy ending,
Hello, Mr. Griffith.
where we have no clue on what the future holds for these two new friends. That's the magic of a classic. Life enhanced, but still the life we live. There are countless more selections I could point out.
I have had just about enough of you. Now take your seat.
Instead, do yourself a favor and hop on a train with Del Griffith and Neil Page.
But I'm a little wiser too, so.
Me too.
Safe and happy holiday season to you all.
You know what would make me happy?
Have a couple balls and an extra set of fingers?
And to you all, until next time.
I'm saying you are stuck in Wichita.
Thank you to our YouTube members and everyone out there for your continued support. And Hail Cthulhu!